right now.
How about now?
Oh, there you are. There
Yeah.
you are.
I will. I'll give you that 5-minute warning.
Yeah. So you do have a cutoff though?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right. Good morning, Rory.
Good morning, Tellman. What's up, buddy?
It's a get shit done morning.
It is. It is a get shit done morning. I like this theme, dude. Like, it's what is it, like law of the attraction type energy, like put shit out there, get shit done. Since we've started talking again, it just lines up with getting more shit done.
Yeah.
It's awesome, dude. It's fucking awesome.
Well, dude, so let's do a positive focus, then we'll talk about some shit that's happened in the last week. And then we'll dive into your AI automaton assistant situation, your army of robot slaves.
Yeah, my marketing assistants is what I'm calling it.
But yeah, so what are you happy about today? What are you most excited about at the moment?
I am most excited about alignment and clarity. So I knocked out a sales letter last night that I was so incredibly fired up about as I was writing it and feeling it come together. And it's on the heels of really getting some good thinking time in on Sunday for the future of my business, services that I'm going to be offering. Like, just shit is coming together in a huge way, and it's so incredibly awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'll add one thing, Telman, I think that you'll appreciate, and our listeners or viewing audience. I haven't been this excited about my business in years.
Dude.
Yeah.
Well, so this is actually really interesting because this is actually the topic I wanted to talk about, but you wanted to talk about something totally different, so I dropped it. And so I've been talking about this concept with Eric,
yep,
our primary co-host, for several years, with both Eric and with Curtis, who is our other co-host on Sundays. And we've been talking about, what are you doing in your life that's meaningful, like with your business, with your business as the mechanism, but what are you doing that's meaningful to you? What are you doing that's even more meaningful to others, regardless of the product that you're selling today, or regardless of the affiliate opportunity that you're pitching, or regardless of the network marketing opportunity that you're growing your team for? Like, who cares about what you're actually up to? And the issue is often referred to as shiny object syndrome, when people are pulled from opportunity to opportunity where they think they smell some easy money, instead of having any idea at their core what they're actually up to, other than just trying to scrape a few bucks together.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned that all of a sudden things are in alignment. I was just journaling before this episode about alignment with my internal family through this crazy journaling process I learned from my therapist and spiritual teacher. And we're talking, we were journaling about this very topic. And I wonder, for you, like, what's your experience when you say that you're more clear on your business and what you're doing, where you're going than ever before? What are some of the things that make the difference in getting someone closer to that space versus where you're at, where you just have no idea what the hell you're doing or why, and you're just grasping at straws and frantic and desperate and ADD and jumping from thing to thing to thing? I mean, what makes the difference? Or in your experience, what makes the difference?
Man, that is such a good question and a deep question, and you're gonna have to guide me a little bit to let me know if we're heading in the right direction.
I mean, whatever. What your experience? You're like, what do you know about this so far?
Yeah, so I mean, number one, I've sort of battled depression on and off my whole life. What that's looked like is, not really being too sure of myself, not being really confident of myself. Even in moments when I am super confident, and I'll be vulnerable here. Like, I've always known deep down inside that I'm very, very good at what I do, regardless of what it is that I do. When I do it, I'm good at it. I'm great at it. And, part of the depression, if you will, or part of my wiring, whatever you want to call it, is like, even though I know I'm really good at something and I excel at something, it's also just who I am. So I don't really walk around feeling all good inside about how great I am. I don't.
Right.
So, it took me until a series of events last year to realize just how good I am at what I do. And I think some of that is, for me anyway, I needed to have it kind of mirrored back to me. And I don't know how to put it, but like, to me, I'm used to talking with people like you, Telman, Kyle, now Kurt Molly. Like, I'm used to talking to kind of like top level people. So for me, it's always like, well, yeah, I mean, I talk with these top level people. So what I do, what I'm capable of doing, like, it's what my peers do.
Right.
So is it really that good? But then when you put yourself in situations or find yourselves in situations where people aren't as strong, for me anyway, it created cognitive dissonance, right? It was this uncomfortable thing. Like, is it me? Is it them? We can go back to a conversation I had last year with you. And at the time, I think I had just finished working for a company that had done $50 million for 2 years in a row.
Right.
They were struggling. And I was telling to you, oh my God, Telman, like, the CEO just doesn't get it. He's really fucking clueless. And you were like, no, Rory, like, it's not easy to get to $50 million. Like, he obviously knows what he's doing. And I'm like, yeah, of course he knows what he's doing. There's no doubt about it. Like, I've not produced $50 million in a company, and he
Right.
has.
Right. Right.
But he's fucking clueless. And we kind of tussled around that. And I was just like, all right, fine, I'm going to let it pass. well, come to find out, everything that I thought and felt and believed while I was at that company came to fruition. I literally said at the time when I was there, if they keep going down this path and refuse to listen to me, they're going to be bankrupt and out of business within 6 months to a year.
Right.
And they are. They're gone. They're done. $50 million evaporated. So that was very powerful for me. Not like, ha, 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 I'm right. But it was like, I actually know what I'm talking about.
It was confirmation that, like, you were seeing a pattern and you predicted and you voiced it, and then it happened. You're like, okay, all right, I'm, like,
and so, like, I found myself in other situations throughout the year where I suggested, hey, I think we need to do this instead, and people, no, we should do this first. I'm like, okay, and it just doesn't work.
Right.
So when I finally took more of an authoritative leadership position, which I've been a leader and a authority figure my whole life, when I took that authority position, that leadership position, and really stuck to my guns, either we got shit done, or if people pushed back, the outcome was obvious and we didn't get anywhere.
Right.
So that really helped me. And I want to be careful here, because none of this is, ha ha, I told you so, ha ha ha, I'm right, ha ha ha, I'm so great. It was more of just confirmation that I actually know what the hell I'm doing. I actually know what the hell I'm talking about. And for me, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
For me to be at peak performance, I have to believe with unshakable confidence that I know what I'm doing and making the right decisions, because it allows me to make decisions faster.
Sure.
I'm not questioning them. I'm not doubting them.
Right.
I'm just going, yes, this is what we need to do, which leads to getting shit done.
So are you saying that one of the things that makes a big difference for you and is making a big difference right now is that you've had a great deal of external validation that you know what the fuck you're talking about?
The external feedback has been a good feedback loop or system for me to have internal confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, that's the trick, though, right? The trick is to maintain internal confidence even when shit's blown up all around you and it's your fault.
Yeah,
Right? And like that, and maintaining that is hard, but getting there in the first place is elusive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So have you learned over the years, is there anything that you can do as an entrepreneur, as Rory Stern? Is there anything that you've learned that you can do to create that sense of confidence when you need it, even if you don't have that type, the type of
Yeah.
external feedback, or maybe you're just not seeing the right pattern in the external feedback in the right time frame or whatever? But when you're feeling all fucked up and down and not on your game, how do you get back on the horse?
Good question. So number one, dealing with depression and being an entrepreneur and working from home,
Yeah.
it's very, very easy for me to withdraw into my four-wall office and forget about the world outside. I think I told you a couple weeks ago on the show, or maybe it was someone else, like I was outside walking my dogs, and it had been a long time since I actually like stopped and was like, holy shit, it's gorgeous outside.
Yeah,
Like
I think we talked about this last episode. Yeah.
the sun is beating down on my, like I was present. I was recognizing it, like, and that sounds so simple, but when you get caught up in your four walls and you're isolated, it's just like things for me become very mechanical, very
Right.
robotic. Hey, I've got to go walk the dogs, come back, sit back down at my, there's no
presence. Yeah, there's no presence.
there's doing and being, right? And I was doing but not being. So that is, getting out, more so expanding my sphere. So with you pushing me a couple weeks ago to start talking to people, I'm having all these incredible conversations with incredible people, that are just leading to more conversations. And it's funny. I told one of my, closest friends that I'm doing work with right now, I said, I'm doing a lot of networking. And he's like, Rory, stop. Don't fucking network. And I'm like, what? And I was like, all right, let me explain this. I'm talking to people in my field and having strategic conversations. And he's like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense, right? It's not like I'm going to a fucking meetup group with my name tag to meet random people. Like, no, I'm talking to people I need to be talking with. I'm talking with people I need to associate with. For instance, you told me to talk to Kurt. I'd never spoken to Kurt more than, hey, you're an industry leader. I'm representing company Y. They want you to attend a mastermind. Would you like to go? And he's like, fuck yeah. But we had a conversation for the first time ever as like just two people, like you and I,
as colleagues, as peers. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would even say
and you're both very experienced media buyers.
Yep.
Right. And you've both been doing it, I think, for about the same amount of time.
Yeah, I think he got his start maybe a year or two before me, or at least was more immersed a year or two before me. But like, what a great conversation! What an incredible dude!
Yeah.
It was really something else. And so my head's ping ponging all over the place right now because I've had so many great conversations and so much great things are happening. Another phenomenon that I see, which is really weird, Telman, and this has been part of it too, is that for the last couple months, I get a lot of friend requests and I normally just push them away. I'm like, if I don't know you, I'm not accepting your friend request. And now I'm getting a lot of them. And people are reaching out going, dude, I'm hearing such great things about you over here, over there. I'm like, who the fuck is saying great things about me right now? Like, and I'm not even, and I'm no longer questioning it, right? Like, questioning it in a doubtful way. I'm questioning it as in like, where are these conversations happening? Let me be a part of them. Let's get in on it, right? Let's have some fun.
Right.
So where I want to go with this is that, like,
dude, I have to tell you something. So we've been slicing and dicing up our Get Shit Done episodes.
Yep.
Eric has been using Opus and then scheduling them in across multiple social media channels to push out. And for some reason, only one video hits every few days on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
But a giant up close mug of your face is my #1 TikTok video of all time. So far, which isn't actually saying much, but still it broke it's over 1,000 views. And apparently they like the really up close version of your face more than anything else that I've ever created. So congratulations, Rory.
Thank you.
I mean,
Are you
everyone's
sure
talking.
Are you sure it's not these things?
No, it's like literally.
Oh, cool.
It's like
so I mean, what's interesting, Telman, is where I was going to go for a second.
Yeah.
That you mentioned something earlier. I think it was in your question, and I remembered something like what is it about what you're doing, yada yada yada. And
Yeah.
I remember kind of how I'm feeling right now is how I felt when I had my first huge, massive breakthrough. I broke 10K months. My agency started to scale. And that was, people were telling me, Rory, you're experiencing what Dan Kennedy teaches, known as the phenomenon. And that's kind of where things feel like they're headed right now. Like things are just starting to work. Things are starting to line up. And whether it's the phenomenon, whatever it is, I don't care. The point is, like, I am in a flow state.
Yeah.
I am on the highway. I am in the express lane. Shit is moving. People are getting out of my way. I'm no longer sitting on the sidelines. I'm no longer sitting on the on-ramp going, can I go yet? Can I go yet? Can I go yet? I just put my ass in there and we're going. And there's no time to stop, or look back. And I think that's what's really important out of all of this is getting into flow just creates more, right? Like they said, when you look for opportunity, you see opportunity. When you look for problems, you find problems. Well, I'm looking for opportunities everywhere. And I'm finding
my mind is open, dude. See, so this is the thing. So just yesterday or Monday, this podcast episode dropped, and a few weeks ago, I was on Facebook on my couch scrolling, and Facebook served me up an ad to join a Facebook group for podcasters, and I'd been thinking, wow, we really should be podcasting the Get Shit Done episode, right? But we aren't, because it's one more thing on the to-do list to do and whatever. And so I joined this podcaster group for podcasters seeking to be guests or podcasters who are looking for guests.
Yep.
And then immediately Facebook showed me half dozen more groups to join that were just like it. So I was like, join. And then a few minutes later, there's a post showed up on my Facebook feed, lo and behold. And it said, looking for someone to talk tomorrow evening about spicy food.
Oh, no shit.
And so I replied, I was like, I can talk about spicy food. My first business was a salsa company. And then they responded, they're like, cool. And it was actually Valentine's Day evening, and my girlfriend was out of town for several days in the city. And so I was like, I had my kids, it was a school night, I think. And I got on, and it was a comedy podcast. And I knew it was a comedy podcast, but I didn't really do much research because I was like, whatever. It was like less than 24 hours. I was hustling. I was doing, driving my kids to and from school, doing work, doing hypnosis sessions, sending out emails, all the things. And I listened. I was like, okay, these guys have a bunch of episodes, for like over a year they've been doing this. And I listened to like the first few minutes, and it sounded decent. So I was like, okay, whatever. So it's like these two Florida boys that are like maybe in their 30s, and they're cousins, but they didn't tell me that. I had to ask them because, and it's called Michael and Jeremy's Steal Your Podcast. And they do this whole fictional opener, and they were like, they had like broken into a hot sauce factory, and I was knocking on the door, and then I came in, and they sat me down, and they pulled a podcast out of the cupboard, and they put it on the table, and they played it. And then it was the interview that we were having. And, but it was totally irreverent, completely like on every side, like politically offensive, sexually offensive, like the whole, it was just very, I don't want to share it with my family, really. You know what I mean? And so, and I don't like, I'm like, I probably don't even want to share it with my list because it's pretty polarizing but it's comedy. It's meant to be, that's what these guys are doing. But here's the whole point is that I asked them before we started, I was like, I can talk about hot foods, but I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a hypnotist. And I'm a productivity hypnotist. And so if I can talk about hypnosis and wealth hypnosis and getting shit done, then I'm down. And they're like, we love all those things. We can talk about it. And so I used it as a long copy commercial for Get Shit Done.
Nice.
But I started by telling my story about starting the salsa company. And that's how I became an entrepreneur. And so I used my story on the fly because we were all making it up completely on the spot, and it was pre-recorded, which I wasn't used to. So they like edited it afterward and stuff, which is cool. But I knew I was promoting Get Shit Done, and that's what I'm up to. I'm growing the Get Shit Done productivity cult for entrepreneurs. That's what I'm doing.
Yep.
And so when I saw the opportunity to get on a comedy podcast, and I was able to be like, oh yeah, I love hot sauce. I can figure out a way of twisting that around and making it a thing if you guys are down. It was an easy way to find a way of talking about myself in front of a new audience. The moment it aired, I immediately got a bunch of new members to the community.
Yep.
That I don't recognize any of their names, and so the trick is, how do people go from feeling like they understand what the hell they're up to or not up to understanding what they're up to so they can represent it when they're out there looking for, rather than jumping from opportunity to opportunity, they can find opportunities to promote their cause, their mission, the focus, the thing. And getting people to make that leap, I found to be very difficult.
Yeah. It's so fucking interesting. First off, I pulled up the podcast page, and I can't wait to listen to it just based on your description. Like,
very funny. It's
not just your episode, but in general, these guys sound like my cup of tea. But it's fascinating. I think at least the way you're describing it, what's hitting me now is it's almost like you're either a shiny object chasing person or you're not, and I think it's more of a flow. And hey, Tellman, I'm booked on the Steal Your Podcast, so I'm going to be sponsoring a show from here on out. Thanks for hooking up this opportunity.
So Jeff Levine of Silk City Hot Sauce is like the Get Shit Done show, like one of our number one fans, right? Yep. He's also a local friend.
Yep.
And Andy owns a hot sauce company.
That's awesome.
And during the episode, I brought up the fact that he had just dropped some hot sauce off at my doorstep a few hours earlier, and they asked if I could call him and get him on the episode.
No fucking way.
Like, well, he had 2 young kids, and maybe so. But he didn't. We were doing it on Discord. Jeff doesn't have Discord, so I had to have Jeff on my speakerphone on my iPhone up to my microphone to 3-way him into the podcast recording, and he totally did it. And now apparently he's becoming a sponsor for the show.
Yeah, and so like this ties in perfectly to where I was going with this. That opportunity wouldn't have come up unless you took that opportunity and again, just open and open and open. So how do you go from chasing shiny objects to not chasing shiny objects? I think first off, like if you don't have purpose or clarity or direction, it's easy to get stuck in opportunity chasing mode because you don't know what you want. You don't have this North Star that you're marching towards.
Right.
Now, interestingly enough, I'm dealing a little bit right now with shiny object syndrome. We probably talked about it on the show, or we talked about it, pre-notes. I'm launching my email newsletter.
Yeah.
With that email newsletter, I've got a low ticket front end product. I've got upsells. I've got this, I've got that. So I knew I wanted the low ticket front end product. That was dialed in, but then it was like, what's the upsell going to be?
Right. Because if you're going to run ads, you got to make enough money to.
Yeah. I could do this. I could do that. I could do this. I could do that. And I'm thinking, oh, I want this. And how do I, get closer to my North Star? And that ultimately helped me decide where I'm going. Right. So I spent a lot of time in opportunity seeking mode or shiny object syndrome until I was able to connect the dots. Yesterday, I was very much in opportunity seeking mode because again, I know what my North Star is and there's all these different paths to where I want to get. And so like Kurt gave me this great idea for mini workshops. Well, actually not mini workshops, low cost workshops, 3-hour workshops that people pay to, and then you sell it and cross promote and all this other stuff. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. I can do that. And then I talked with somebody else the same day who did an 8-week live course for $1,000.
Right.
And I was like, well, shit, it's a lot easier to get to 20K if I do $1,000 versus a $49. And so I'm trying to put all this together and look at the moving parts and pieces. And then I talked to a friend of mine. So the key is, again, not isolation, right? Which also maps over to why we could have talked about AI and we can always loop it into this conversation.
Right.
I need to get kind of smacked in the face, right? Which is, Rory, it's great that you want to do this, but does it serve this purpose and that purpose and that purpose? I go, oh no, it doesn't right now. Great, shelve it.
Right.
So what does serve my purpose, and this was great. I was on a call yesterday with 2 guys, and one of them was like, Rory, where's that sales letter you've been talking about for 3 weeks? And I was like, well, I've worked on it, but it's not, let me see it. So I showed it to them. They critiqued it. They told me how to improve it. Spent all last night writing it. And that's the one I told you at the beginning that I'm geeked out over. But the coolest part that helped push my hand is he's like, Rory, I will promote this to my audience for you. Just get it done. Well, that takes priority over everything, right? If someone says, I will put this in front of my audience.
Dude, so did you set a deadline for the promotion that he's going to do?
So no, I don't have a deadline. That's a great point. I don't
Call
have
him back, schedule it in.
Yep.
Get a deadline. Just get a deadline that it has, so that when it has to be up, running, and functional and tested by, like a date and a time.
Yep, I will. Yeah, I didn't think of that, Tellman, because I sat down and got shit done last night. I did
Rock
not
and roll. Awesome.
And so I'm not saying that's an excuse I won't do it. Like,
no, I'm just saying adding a deadline for me anyway is an additional significant accelerator, right? It's just I
know that for you. Yeah. If you don't have a deadline, you'll wait to the last minute. Which, funny story, Mr. Tellman here, I can tell this, likes to buy his plane tickets the night before he needs to fucking go somewhere. Yeah. No joke. Yeah. No joke.
It's true.
And Mr. Tellman at the time, anyway, I don't know about now, but at the time, Mr. Tellman would only fly first class. So getting a first class seat the night before he needs to be somewhere costs about 5 times what it should?
So one of the lessons that I'm learning at this stage in my life, Rory, is I've already learned how to make a lot of money, but what I need to learn now is how to take care of the money that I make.
Amen, brother.
And to give it attention and to focus on growing it and to nurture it instead of making so much that I don't have to think about it or making. So this is actually one of the greatest fallacies of people that want to improve their money mindset and want to move from a scarcity to abundance or scarcity to a prosperity mindset. One of the biggest errors that people make is they say, I don't want to have to worry about money anymore. I don't want to think about it anymore. Yeah. And the problem isn't that you're thinking about it too much. The problem is that you're not thinking about it enough.
Yeah.
It's like you just got a litter of dogs, and are they going to grow and thrive to be healthy, happy, well-adjusted, wonderful, friendly dogs? Yeah. Or are they going to be malnourished, mean, violent, angry, bite everybody, and die a miserable death because you don't take care of them? Well, your money's the same way. Yep. And so I remember when I was young, my dad spent so much time trying to teach me how to care about money, and I was like, I don't care about money. I won't think about it. And so I separated myself from it. And so it's you don't want to love the money. You don't want to become a miser or a Scrooge, but you want to energetically take care of it the same way that you would a garden or the same way that you would a pet or a child, nurture it.
Yeah. I have pissed away so much money stupidly.
Yeah, dude, I understand.
Oh my God. It's funny, Tellman, just to go down this path for a minute, I remember, younger days always
Right.
dreaming, oh, I'm going to hit the lotto. I'm going to hit the lotto. I'm going to hit the, and people would be like, dude, most people who hit the lottery, if they're
Within 3 years, dude, within 3 years, it's all gone. It's all
and
gone.
I'm like, how is that possible? Like, they're just dumb. It wouldn't happen to me. And then it did happen to me. I didn't win the lottery, but in 20, was it? Oh, it was July of 2020.
Right.
I invoiced one client, I think $63,000 because we were working on a percentage of ad spend. And that was a big deal. I was happy. I was living high.
Right.
I didn't find out until the end of the year when we did an audit on where all the money went. I spent 60 grand that month. I pissed it all away.
Somehow.
And I started to take inventory on what I did with it all. And I literally had nothing good to show for it. I bought the dumbest shit on the planet.
Yeah.
I pissed it away. And
Yeah.
instead, had I paid attention to it, had I invested it, had I,
Something.
doubled. And when I say investment, I don't necessarily mean put it in the stock market. Like, had I put that into paid ads and a funnel,
Right.
where would I be? And it's just, and I'm not stuck in the past, but it's like, fuck,
These
it's real.
These are how we learn the lessons, hopefully. Right.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So interesting. So, well, dude, this is a great conversation, and I have no real reason to change it. But I'm curious about your talk with Kurt. You said, so I encourage you to talk with Kurt Molly. Kurt Molly's been a friend for a very long time.
Yep.
You help your clients in similar ways. Ultimately, the end benefit is that, hopefully they have better ads and better ad campaigns that make them more money, and however you help them. And so what was your resistance around connecting with Kurt in the first place? And then how did it all turn out? Like what happened as a result of that conversation?
Good question. Way to put me on the spot though, too. Vulnerability. I don't actually know why I didn't want to talk to Kurt. Other than, we've been in the same space. We've,
just because you're like your direct competitors, or like, is that why, or is it something else?
I'm sort of getting to that a little bit, right? Like, I don't believe in competition, but maybe there was some competition in there underlying it. There was definitely a little bit of jealousy.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, so Kurt has his belt method, right?
Yeah.
And that always kind of irked me, his belt method and his incessant promotion of the belt, which years later now, and even before I had a conversation with him, I did develop a profound respect for why he does it. It's a phenomenal, unique mechanism, like really, really powerful and compelling. But what was funny is, like, so I get on the call, expecting Kurt to be a little bit, how do I put this? I don't know, just fuck it. Like, maybe not as friendly as he was.
Sure.
And I got on the call as if we had been friends for years and we're reconnecting. And I'm like,
yeah. He's always like that. Like, that's just his default mode. That's how he rolls. Yeah.
And so,
at least in my experience.
Yeah. So and by the way, Kurt, if you're watching this, dude, I'm not talking shit about you at all. Like, I had it all wrong. I can admit that. So we're talking as if we've been friends forever and just even saw each other last week.
Yeah.
And Kurt's like, what's it been, Rory? X amount of years. And the last time we talked, I was working, I was running ads for Todd Brown. I was in his mastermind in Top One. I was very close with the company, and they put on a media buying workshop with Agora Financial in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And they wanted to have the best of the best media buyers at the game or at the event. So I went out, for me, the best of the best are often people not teaching, but actually doing. And they were like, well, we want you to get Kurt and Keith Krantz and this person and that person. I'm like, great, I'll go get them. So I don't know Kurt at all. And I reached out to Kurt. I'm like, and again, we knew of each other, but I invite him to the workshop.
And this is a decade ago.
7 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, okay, so close enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So I invite Kurt and he introduces me to Keith Krantz and we get Keith Krantz to go to the event. I don't end up going. I forget why. At the last minute, I don't go, which is my MO. I hate to travel. Thanks to you, by the way, getting stuck in what was it, the Hartford airport.
You're going to blame me because you hate to travel?
I am blaming you.
Okay. You were stuck in
the Hartford,
isn't that bad to get stuck in, first of all.
What's that?
It's not that bad of an airport to get stuck in.
Dude, I'm having fun with you.
All right, go on. You got stuck in Hartford.
So this is the backstory, right? And I get on the call and Kurt's like, dude, I haven't talked to you since the event. And like, I owe it to you. I've got the belt because of you. And I'm like, huh? And I even said to him, I'm like, dude, I gotta be honest with you. Like, I'm a little fucking jealous that you got that belt because I should have fucking been there and I would have fought you for it. And it was just such an awesome conversation. Like, if there's ever a moment where you're just like, stop creating pictures of people that in your mind that you don't fucking know and inventing stories that you don't fucking know. And there are other people that I don't want to talk to. Totally. And that one conversation was like, and I even messaged somebody. I'm like, should I reach out to this person that I'm really resistant to talking to and just fucking get over it?
Yes, dude. It's like when you see, here's the thing. When you do this, I mean, if you have any anxiety around it, that's the indicator you're on the right track.
Yep.
First of all, but the thing is, when you do it, it creates a type of freedom. It creates a type of release of anxiety, because even if it's not well received, and if they're kind of a jerk or still have a chip on their shoulder or whatever, you like broke the seal, you broke the tension, and it's like, okay, at least we know what we're dealing with here. So there's no more worry or anxiety about the situation. It's just like, okay, we pop the bubble on this like weird relationship mismatch and like reset. And so if the person's open to reconnecting, now we can do it. And if not, then let's move on. You know?
And to just go further, because like, again, what a and by the way, we're talking again tomorrow.
Nice.
So we talked Tuesday and we're talking again tomorrow. So Kurt gives me so much value, like insane value on
every time. Yeah, he's like an outpouring of like a fire hose of high speed marketing strategy every time.
Yeah, like, and so like let's talk a little bit. I guess like we'll peel another layer off the onion, right? Like, I think you've known for a long time, I really don't like gurus, and to me, a guru is somebody who creates a fake persona to sell shit that they know nothing about, and to sell stuff people don't need, but they need to make money. What a very poor outlook on the community, right? But, and I'm not saying that's what Kurt does. Kurt doesn't do that, but that's the like persona that I have of certain people. And Kurt just fucking, again, he doesn't know me. I don't know him all that well. And he just, Rory, you need to be doing this and that. And oh, by the way, I've seen you do this and I love this. And I'm like, Kurt Molly's watching my stuff. He knows what I'm doing. Like, and man, it easily like was more valuable than a 2-day mastermind in a room with 10 people, 30 minutes with Kurt.
Right.
Like, the motherfucker just gave up so much shit and was like, do this. By the way, I'm going to let you into my community. I'm going to give you access. Do this. And I'm like, holy. So you talk about shiny object syndrome. Like I said, I got off the call with Kurt and was like, I need to start doing this, and I need to do this, and I need to do that, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
I can't keep up with Kurt.
Dude.
When he goes on a tear, I'm just like, dude, I listen to him, and like, I know what he's saying is smart, but like, I can't track all the details and how they're all connected. He goes so fast. And so, yeah, I often just can't keep up with the complexity of his brain sometimes.
So this goes even better, right? So I get that. Fortunately, I was able to keep up with like the bit.
No, you can still keep up with the overarching, yeah.
But like, so while we're having this call, I'm consciously aware that I did not have my Fathom recorder in the Zoom room with us.
Right.
And I'm like, every time, Rory, 18 years, you always bring a recording to something because,
right.
And every time I don't do it, it's one of the best conversations ever.
Right.
But at the end of the call, Kurt's like, hey, dude, I got to run. Let's have another call. I'm going to get you access to my members area and I'll send you a recording of the call. And I'm like, yes. So now I have a recording of this call where I could go through and have AI pull out all the nuggets and to-do lists and all this shit for me. And I'm like, oh, thank you, God. Thank you, Kurt. Like, just a fucking mind-bending conversation. I'm excited to do it again tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, dude, on that note, let's bridge the gap. So we were originally going to talk about AI and how you're using AI as a personal assistant and or sounding board to explore ideas and thoughts, and how as a digital agency and business owner, you're using AI kind of as a supersonic personal assistant.
Yeah.
So like we also only have 9 minutes left before your next thing. So
Yeah.
why don't you go ahead and share like one or two really cool things that you have done with AI in the last week that just like you think would be valuable for people.
So let's use this as a teaser. Maybe we continue this next week, Telman, because it is
Totally.
a worthy conversation. But like, so I was slow to adapt to AI.
Yeah.
I'm very much of sound mind and sound body that like AI, we are going to eventually reach Terminator level and Matrix level where they take over and we're just stupid for using it and whatnot. And I've known of AI, like, I don't even, what was it called? Some people came out with something called Jarvis.
Yeah.
And years ago, and then they changed it to something else because of
right. Copyright infringement or whatever. Yeah.
So like, we can write ads, and I'd look at it, being very proud of my, puffing my chest of being an ad copywriter and be like, I'm not using this tool because it's not compliant. Like it was spitting out ads that are not compliant.
Right.
And like that's dangerous, right? So I was thinking earlier about this. We talked last week about project management. And I said to you, a project management tool is only as good as the person using it.
Right.
You taught me that. And it's the same thing with AI. AI is only as good as the person using it. It's only as good as your prompts. It's only as good. And I don't think this is anything groundbreaking because, again, I'm kind of a late adopter. But for instance, yesterday, my creative director was working on a project. He got some feedback from the client that there was a line of copy that he felt wasn't compliant. And he says, and so my creative director messages me, goes, Rory, is this not compliant? It's like, I mean, I think it's not. But I went into, I opened up Chat GPT and I basically said, and by the way, I treat Chat GPT like a friend.
Yeah.
I don't treat it like a machine. Please, thank you. How are you? So
I
go,
do the same thing. Yeah.
So I go, hey, bud, I've got something for you. How much do you know about FDA compliance? And it spits out like, I know quite a bit about FDA compliance. This, these are the categories I understand. How can I help you? And I said, we're writing some copy and I need to know about this line. And I gave it the line and it said, yeah, that's probably not the best use of what you're trying to say.
Right.
Try saying it this way instead. And it spit out 5 different ways to say it. And it wasn't the best, but I was like, okay, now I've got something I can work off of.
Right.
Another thing that I did, so that sales letter I was writing last night, I got to a point where I need some testimonial. Well, obviously my sales letter needs some testimonials. And one of the sections is, why should you trust me? And, I've got all this social proof of clients that I've worked with, case studies of who I've helped, but I'm like, you know what? It's probably going to be better or more helpful, if you will, to have a testimonial from somebody who literally does trust me and can, show it, not tell it. Right. So I had a client who came to me. They wanted to run ads. They'd just been burned by 2 other agencies. And, they said, Rory, like, we want to do this. And we've tried it with these other guys. And I go, here's why it didn't work. Okay. What can you do? And so, well, I'm going to tell you right now, based on all the assets you have, based on what you've invested, based on the results that you get, I'm not going to be able to get you a client in 30 days. It's probably going to take 60 or 90 days. And it's going to be very, very hard. And we're going to fight and we're going to argue and we're going to get stressed if we don't know that going in. And they were like, holy shit, nobody's ever told us this. And, because most people, oh yeah, I'll get you a client in 3 days,
right,
10X ROAS. So, we go at it for about 3 months, and they were really cool. It was a fun relationship. And at the end they said, "Hey, Rory, we're out of money. We don't have any more money to invest in ads." And I go, "Okay, totally get it. Understand. I'm sorry we couldn't get you, further along than where you're at." And he was like, "No." He's like, "We have no animosity towards you whatsoever. You told us from the very beginning what to expect,
Right.
and you were dead on the money."
Right.
Then later, I just found this out last week. They went and worked with somebody else a couple months after working with me because he sold the sizzle.
Yeah, totally.
I'll get you 3 high-paying clients within 30 days, blah, 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 blah. So they come back to me and catch me up to speed, and they're like, "Rory, this guy promised everything, the exact opposite of you, and we've gotten nothing. So we're going to come back and work with you because at least we know we can trust
you're straight up. Yeah, right, yeah.
So all of that, when I was working on this section last night, I was like, what better testimonial than to come to these guys?
Right.
So I wrote up a testimonial based on their story, removing some elements so it doesn't identify the other person because it's not personal. I'm not attacking anybody. And it was very long. And I put it into ChatGPT. I said, "Hey, I'm writing a testimonial. I want it to convince people that I'm trustworthy. This is coming from a third party. How's what I wrote?" And it read it, and it goes, "This is actually really good for these reasons. You can improve it because of this, 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 and this. And here's a better version, or here's a version based on what we think you can do to improve it." Boom. Spit out a testimonial that was more succinct, direct, to the point, took up less space on the page. Done. Now it's in their hands so that they can rewrite it in their words. That saved me a ton of time because I would have sat there just going, is this word right? Am I saying this? How am I doing that? So again, I use it as a sounding board because otherwise, if I didn't ask AI, I might send it over to a mastermind buddy and be like, "Hey, can you look at this and tell me what you think?"
So one of the things that we're dealing with here, Rory, is scope of vision.
Mm-hmm.
We got 3 minutes. Scope of vision. So one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs have, in my experience, is that the scope of vision is that they're trying to replace their job. And if they're able to replace how much money they make with their job, with their business, with their side hustle, that they'll be happy. The problem is that minimal scope of vision usually isn't worth the amount of work that you're going to have to do in order to start a profitable business. And so it's not motivating enough for them to make any significant changes in their lives in order to create that business that will replace their personal income. Because when they realize their business has to make 3 times more money than they're going to get paid minimum, then all of a sudden it seems more daunting. Instead of it making just 10 grand a month, now it needs to make 30 grand a month, after taxes, right? So you're in this situation where there's this huge situation, but with AI now is allowing us to delegate tasks, but we can only delegate to AI or to other humans to the degree that we take on higher levels of responsibility for fulfilling a greater vision. And so in the past, we might have had to hire 5 people in order to do all that same work that you just described with AI in order to achieve the same amount in that amount of time. But now, AI can cut some of that short. But the problem is most people are still just trying to replace their job. They're not trying to create the business that gave them the job. Right?
All right, dude. I unfortunately have to wrap things up. So if there's
okay. Well, look, if you guys like Rory, if you like Dr. Rory Stern, go to unlimitedadcreative.com. They make ads that aren't pretty.
No, we don't make pretty ads. We make ads that convert.
They make ugly ass ads that convert like crazy. That would actually be a much, much better tagline. And if you could crack the code on making the ugliest ads that outconvert anything, that would actually, I would work on that with you. Rory, we should get Kurt on as an interview.
Yeah.
Which I know he would totally be down with. And so let's start bringing in people to interview for our weekly episode together.
I'm going to message him right now and ask him to join us next Wednesday morning.
Great. Awesome. Sounds good. CC me on that. All right, dude. This is awesome. Thank you, Rory Stern. And guys, if you're not already a member at getshitdone.com, then go over to getshitdone.com and become a member right now of the only productivity cult for entrepreneurs.
Awesome, dude. All right. I got to bounce. Rock and roll, Tellman. I messaged Kurt. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the day.